Greetings and God bless. I was talking with a friend yesterday about how a lot of urban areas are, they have these ugly sculptures and also the housing. There's always a housing crisis, and so then there's just these homeless people camped out, um, or like especially after the past couple of years, but maybe it's even before lockdowns, where some cities are ghost towns because everybody. So in the past, everybody was going 4 miles out to the mall, and now everybody's shopping online. So cities are. I mean, except for a few cities, are ghost towns. And when there's people in the more active, lively areas, there's homeless people, there's mentally ill people that are just staggering, there's addicts, and there's very little that's done. I mean, only place I've seen anything, and people keep bashing New York City, but I've seen, like, I went to New York this summer, and like the first few days I saw more police out than I did like 2 years when I was living in South Dakota, and I was only three blocks away from the police station, and I rarely ever saw police out on their feet on the sidewalk, or even directing traffic. The police are just like, I don't know if they were bought out. I don't know if they were just afraid of the people burning everything down, and so they were just like, the public is on their own. Um, I don't know what was going on, but anyway, so I still think New York, um, it's a great city because for all the problems and corruption, I'm sure that's there, some infrastructure still remains, that keep it a welcoming, you know, good good place for all sorts of people. Because when you're not in New York or San Francisco, um, like, you're just expected to have a car, and very few people are out walking on the street. And when homeless people or addicted spare changers, when they see you, they, I don't know why, but they think you're there to give them money, you know. And I mean, when I was living in San Francisco, it was really annoying because every like 5-10 feet there was somebody spare changing, and there was like some canvasser who wanted your signature for something, and if you could donate as well. So yeah, that, I forgot about that until right now. So I uh, I have read, and I'll try to see if I can find it and put it in the description box. But I like, there's these goals that the Communist Party wants to implement, and the Communist Party, like, Karl Marx. So he's Marxist, but he was funded by, I believe, the Rothschilds. So, um, I mean, I'm no expert on politics and whatnot, but the like communism, Marxism, they do have occult roots. They have black magic roots to them. It's not just this academic intellectual argument. They are Satan worshippers. There's a Luciferian, satanic, Babylonian cult background that's at the very foundations of these political systems. And in the contrast, a constitutional republic such as the United States, it's a Judeo-Christian um, premise. It's a source. In the Bible, God is a God of liberty. He's a God of freedom. He set his people free. He set the Jewish people free out of Israel. And that is the goal of Lord Jesus Christ. He came to set the captives free. Comes to set us free. Free from what? Free from the Satanists, because Satan is the ruler of the earth. So, anyways, I read that one of the goals of communism is to install, like, so it's basically to break down civilization, to destroy the family, gender roles, family roles, academia, morality, but also art. They're about putting ugly art, calling ugly art beautiful, and that's part of the satanic thing, is calling something its opposite. Oh, this male is actually a woman. This good thing is actually evil. This beautiful thing is actually ugly. This ugly thing is beautiful. And so um, I did another video about how when you see beauty, it boosts your dopamine, that neurotransmitter. And so I am thinking that the communists, the occultists, probably know the psychological warfare element of a city. When you have, a ghost town of a city, or when only the homeless people, the drug addicts, the drug dealers, the creepy, crazy people, those are the only people that are out on the sidewalks. So it makes everybody who's not trying to mug somebody, like you're just trying to go to the store, try to enjoy the park. It makes everybody scared of everybody. And I experienced this like when I'm walking down the street, because you're thinking, why is that person out? And if there's like a smaller lady, a small older white lady, like I've been, like shunned because I'm a bit taller, and when it's cold I'm wearing a big jacket, so I know I look scary, even though I probably don't look scary, like intimidating, here, because I'm not wearing a hat and I'm not wearing a scarf. And so so I think that the occultists, the Satanists, they want to make people afraid of being outside, of being in their city. I think they want to sabotage the city. They want to sabotage commerce, I think, locally, because just it's just a theory. So when like this is just a theory of mine, that because it's just when I've been to different cities where there's these empty storefronts and beat up sidewalks, and when there's no bus shelters, no, not even a sign where the bus is, not proper signage for when there's construction, and so there's a temporary bus stop over here. I mean, like 20 years ago, people did, and I know 20 years ago there probably was not even bus service in like Iowa. And writing a note on a piece of paper, it's a doable thing, and it just seems like the everything's like an afterthought. Everything is about having a car. Like if you don't have a car, you're some sort of loser, and you don't deserve humane help. And and if you're disabled, well, you need to call some special service to take you somewhere. Um, so I just really feel like people who are wanting to take public transportation or wanting to walk are really the lowest level of the totem pole, because people who are running cities are just like, oh, if you want to walk or take the bus, you must be some sort of criminal. You must be some sort of addict, low life person. You couldn't possibly be, you're probably some illegal immigrant. So even if you're going to work, you're unworthy of a safe sidewalk, a cleared sidewalk. Like people do not shovel a sidewalk. They don't de-ice a sidewalk. So for weeks, months, you're trying to get to the post office or something, and it's this obstacle course. And not everybody has ice cleats and hiking poles, and especially when everywhere else there's like it's mostly cleared except for some patches. So if it was like the Arctic all the time, we would all have ice cleats and hiking poles if everybody was walking. Like I'm in Denver right now, and praise the Lord, there's a lot more tourism. There are people that are walking around, so sidewalks are not completely neglected. Like when I was in South Dakota or in Montana, where people for months just didn't. Number one, people weren't even living there because everybody goes away, or a lot of people, like when I was in Montana, a lot of people would go out of town or never out of their house. Um, because it was so icy. And if they did go, it was, the roads were taken care of, but sidewalks were totally an afterthought. And other people, I wasn't the only person to walk. There were people who walked their dogs, or who just like to walk like myself, or who were riding their bike. Um, People who'd actually jogged. So uh, yeah, I just don't understand this mentality, and I think it's evil. Like when people, just when cities totally don't um, take care of sidewalks. Uh, and like it's weird because I noticed that cities want to charge for parking, like parking tickets. That's this sacred satanic thing, but cities could charge totally for creating hazardous. That's the thing. Clearing a sidewalk of ice and snow, that's removing a hazard. But instead, the city just wants to charge for something that's not dangerous. Like somebody, I mean, it's not as dangerous as, you know, 3 miles by 7 miles of ice everywhere. This if the city wanted to make money, they could just, follow the rules about that kind of thing, or you know, I don't know. There's probably other things that would actually help people that the cities could charge for, give a ticket for. But cities don't do that. Cities only want to ticket for something futile, useless, that doesn't help anybody, and it's evil because again they could make money, but they don't want to help anybody. They want to like punch you in the stomach. It seems to me. So back to though that, and that's part of this communist occult kind of thing of absurd, disgusting, revolting, inhumane, meaningless penalty, meaningless art. And all of this is depleting us. It depletes our nutrients and our vitamins and our neurotransmitters. So I think, like, we've heard about neurotransmitters and like the microbiome of the gut, good gut flora, and eating your yogurt or your fermentation, your ferments. But now I'm really realizing that since cities engineer neurotransmitter depletion because they're ruled by Freemasons, they're ruled by this Babylonian cult, even stuff online, they're ruled by these Satanists. So, and Satan has been around for a lot longer than we are, and he's been around longer than we have been, as well as demons. And so and it seems to me like there's not a fair fight going on. Like just the past couple of years with supply chain problems and the psychological abuse, the physiological assaults that have been people have been subjected to, just the torment of watching people willfully hurt themselves and their loved ones, and watching a lot of injuries and deaths. Like this is we're having like multiple wars being targeted against us, like other wartime, stories we hear about. You generally, like, it's one party versus another party, and so there's solidarity, you know, and um, and there's, even if the person loses, there's been solidarity even in, like, a terrible defeat. But we are so fractured, like, on so many levels. I mean, I'm surprised that the United States hasn't been blown up or whatever, uh, and because we couldn't really fight it. I mean, look at the military; they care more about pronouns than real defense. I mean, the military is always just like human sacrifice. So maybe this ridiculous thing is just fitting for that war is just this human sacrifice thing for Satanists to get more power or something like that. So I guess what we're seeing is how flimsy and meaningless uh, things have been. Although it seems to me there was more substance and quality in the past, like movie stars or news stories or even newscasters. There was a certain um, caliber of people, poise, demeanor, um, integrity that that Hollywood or whoever was in charge of the news, they knew that Americans were not going to enjoy or um, idealize a selfish, mean woman. So they depicted, they had their actors look like people with integrity, people of quality, the queens and kings and whatnot. But now it's just like who's considered an idol is just despicable people, disgusting people, selfish, self-righteous, morally bankrupt people is what's the idol. And it's all about surface appeal, just like lots of makeup and weird hairstyles and expensive clothing. Like, if as long as you have all this investment in externals, that's popular, along with a despicable attitude, an unthinkably immoral attitude that is very politically correct but devoid of morality, devoid of integrity, devoid of you know uh, goodness, the golden rule. So I think that we really need to do everything that we can to boost our neurotransmitters, because looking at reality is it's devastating and it's depleting, and and we are being targeted. We're under a psychological war. So how we do our part to fight in this war is boost our neurotransmitters. And I'm saying we are in a war. It's a psychological war. So we're not, I mean, unfortunately or fortunately, I mean, like if we heard a bomb go off, we'd be like, oh, yay, not yay, but yikes, like you would know, like, but we're kept in this kind of dream state where things are just really vague, and it's like you get punched in the stomach because of something kind of you're kind of observing. It's not a clear cut obvious distinction of from peace to war. We're in this fake peace, this dream peace, but there's so much war that we're being pummeled with. from poisons in the air, food, water, and wherever else, medical stuff. Our friends and family, colleagues. So anyways, I think it's good to look up, learn about neurotransmitters. I think amino acids might be like a precursor, the foundation that our body maybe develops neurotransmitters from. I'm not sure yet. I think I recommend looking into how to boost your neurotransmitters. And I suspect it may also have something to do with autoimmunity, boosting your autoimmune system. Um, so I just wanted to put that out there. And also, taking supplements is good. Doing certain activities that boost your immunity is good. And you probably know, walking in the park, um, playing with the dog, eating healthy, drinking water, taking a pleasant shower. I've heard cold water baths. I'm wondering if going outside in the cold might do something. Um, so, and there's probably a lot of other things because I think there's four main neurotransmitters. I can't remember them all, like dopamine, um, acetylcholine. What are the other two neurotransmitters? Um, anyways, you can look them up, and you may have like one or two down. Really, you know how to cultivate those, like laughing with others, spending time with others, doing movement with another person is also, I think, one of the ones. So, maybe taking a class, writing in a journal, maybe even shopping. Um, so try to make sure you're filling all of your boxes of neurotransmitters. And if you've been under, like if you're more depleted, you had an encounter, you had to fill out some form and dealing with some bureaucrats, maybe you'll want to work on boosting one of those neurotransmitters a little extra after a particularly difficult encounter. So this is just a thought I have, and feel free to comment below. Thank you for watching. God bless.